All right, today we are doing a long-term review of the iPhone 12 Pro. I know it, you know it, I've been using it for the past few months. Let's talk about my feelings. Welcome back to Gadget Conquest, everybody. My voice is a little raspy today, but yeah, I want to do a long-term review of this. So this is the iPhone 12 Pro, like I said in the intro, and I've been using it for the past few months. I've been a huge Android fanboy this whole time, obviously, and I've tried using an iPhone before. When the iPhone 6s came out, I was using that. I used it for a year, and at the time, it felt like amazing hardware that was crippled by a really bad operating system. And this year, it's actually kind of the opposite. So this is, I don't know, controversial or not, but I am not a fan of this design, this hardware design. It's awful. Like, this thing is completely uncomfortable in my hand. It's just ever so slightly too wide for me to use with one hand. Yeah, there is the mini, but the mini is way too small. And this is more of a good screen size, but it's too wide. It's just slightly too wide. The corners are sharp. Remember I complained about the sharp corners on the Omen 15? Same thing. It meets at right angles. It's just ever so slightly like curved, but it's not enough, and it's really uncomfortable in my hand. I don't like carrying the phone around in my hand, honestly, which is really sad because it does feel sturdy, you know? It feels sturdy, it feels strong, it feels premium, but it doesn't feel good. It's just wildly uncomfortable, and that's really sad. Now, the other thing I don't like about the hardware here is the display. Let's be real here. It's 2021. We're over halfway through 2021, and these bezels and this notch are not cutting it. Like, I get the Face ID thing, so I get the notch. The notch, as long as they have the Face ID with all of those extra sensors, they're going to have some kind of notch. Under-display camera technology isn't good enough to replace that just yet, but God, is it ugly. I thought I would get over it or get used to it over the past few months, and I just haven't. I've been trying to get more into mobile gaming, like mobile MMORPGs and even mobile FPS games, and yeah, this notch it's just awful. Like, it really cuts into the content, especially because for some reason, iOS doesn't natively have it built in to hide the notch. So Android has that feature, right, where it can natively hide notches. This doesn't. It can't natively hide the notch. It's on the app developer to do that, and game developers don't do it because, well, for the most part, you're probably playing their games on an iPad, not an iPhone. And the ones that you are playing on an iPhone, you're most likely playing vertically, so they can kind of hide the notch in that sense. But the ones that you play horizontally, it just cuts into the content. There's games that have full sections of the minimap missing. There's dialogue that gets cut off. In some MMOs, the chat box in the corner just gone. It's like just that section, it's like it was never even there. It's like they cut the pixels out of the display. It's obnoxious. And yeah, I kind of wish they had put more software support into it. They've had this notch for a few years now. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But the other thing is the bezels. Like, is it just me, or do these bezels look and feel bigger than the iPhone 10 and even the 11? Like, they feel bigger. They feel huge, especially when compared to, oh God, I was hoping this would go faster. Oh jeez. Okay, I'm back. Especially especially when compared to what Android phones have been coming out. So this is, the latest Galaxy device, well, so far. The latest Galaxy device, virtually bezel-less, and even the bezels that it does have are tiny, itty bitty, like literally half the width here. It's ridiculous. And it's just, this fits so much better in the hand too. It's just, design is really not good, man. Like, I think what they didn't understand about the tablet, because that's what they did, right? Is they took the iPad Pro design and they copied it and moved it over to the other devices. But I think what they didn't understand about the design is that design works on a huge display, because when it's a huge display and it has bezels this size, you're like, damn, those are some small bezels, right? Yeah. And guess what? No facial recognition nonsense, so it's a smooth experience. This is not the same. It's not the smooth experience. There's a good amount of screen just missing, and it's kind of sucks for a phone for 2021. So number one on my wish list for the iPhone 13, smaller bezels. And number two, a more comfortable design. Maybe just put a tiny curve on it. Come on, man. But there are good things about the hardware here. The processor in this, what is it, like the A13X Bionic or something like that? They've gotten weird names now. The processor in this thing is amazing. The battery life is the best that any iPhone has ever had, hands down. Like, it literally will last me a day and a half with no issues whatsoever, when the S21 was lasting me a day at most. Honestly, I've actually been kind of disappointed with the battery on the S21. If you want me to do a long-term video on the S21, let me know down in the comments. This thing has an amazing battery life. In fact, it's so good that I only charge it when I'm home sitting at my desk. I actually just leave it to charge when I'm sitting at my desk, and that's it. When I go to bed, I put it actually inside of one of my pillows because I don't have a nightstand anymore. But it doesn't charge while I'm sleeping. It doesn't charge while I'm at work. It only charges when I'm at my desk, and that's it. And the battery life has never failed me. It's just amazing. Just bravo, Apple, for doing this one thing. And yeah, it's just great. And the camera is no slouch either. iPhones have always had really good cameras, always had great video cameras, always had the best video cameras. The photo camera on this is also amazing. Even the selfie camera is really, really good. However, I wish the shutter speed was a little bit faster. I have shaky hands, and I know there people exist that don't have steady hands, and it is really hard for me to get a like stable selfie on this thing, because the selfie camera has a really slow shutter speed as compared to the selfie camera on the S21, and it literally, like, it's just, they come out more shaky because of that, and there's not much that I can do about it, because I can't, this is just me. So it's kind of disappointing in that aspect, but if you have steady hands, then you'll be fine. It takes great pictures. It really does. That's all I have to say about the hardware. I'm not going to talk about the no headphone jack. This thing doesn't have a headphone jack. Actually, no. I forgot about this. The MagSafe thing. The MagSafe thing is cool and also kind of a gimmick. So it really depends. I use it for the the wallet attachment. So I actually have the leather $80 wallet that can only fit 3 cards. God, such a waste of money. But it works pretty well. It sticks onto it, and the whole thing is really nice and slim. I've seen the attachments that are like a speaker, or like a Bluetooth speaker and a battery pack and things like that. But honestly, given how good the battery life is on this thing, a battery pack isn't really necessary. I guess a Bluetooth speaker would be fine, but it would be too big anyway. So it really is just that. Maybe car mounts. Car mounts would be pretty cool. It is a steel ring in there, so you could attach it to a car mount that's magnetic, so it has like maybe magnetic and wireless charging. That would be pretty cool. But other than those two things, there's not really much use for it, so it's kind of just a gimmick, but I mean, the wireless charger is pretty cool. How it just like it's always right, and you never have to worry about it not being right. And that's all I have to say about it. It's lackluster at best, honestly. Now, that's all the hardware stuff. Now let's talk about iOS. iOS has had some amazing improvements over the past few years, since 2015, I think. 2016. Yeah, 2016. First of all, there's an app drawer. I mean, it's not really an app drawer. All your apps are there. You can find them, but they're automatically organized, and I don't think you can unorganize them. They're just in their folders. But just the fact that I don't have to have a folder on my desktop or on my, I don't even know what to call it, on my home screen that is just a folder of useless junk, just the fact that that doesn't have to exist anymore is just, it's amazing. I'm a huge minimalist when it comes to the amount of stuff that I have on my desktop, whether it comes in the form of my phone, my tablet, my laptop, or my desktop. I don't like having stuff just sitting on the desktop like that. I like to have things organized. And iOS has just been awful about that in the past few years. But with this app drawer, it's just been great. And even the sort of widget drawer, when you slide all the way to the left, is not that bad. It's decent. It could be better. Like some of the integrations with certain apps just don't refresh as often as they should. Robinhood is a big one. The Google one is like really, really iffy. Even the calendar sometimes just doesn't load, which is really weird. But if those things could be fixed, I think that the widget drawer would be pretty cool. Now, nothing really compares to the Google Now section where I get all my articles and stuff like I do on the S21 and on Pixel phones, but it's a step in the right direction, you know. The desktop widgets themselves are pretty cool as well, but I don't use them. I don't usually I have the weather one and that's about it. I don't like having widgets on my home screen. I like to keep it mostly just empty. There's a widget drawer for that, just use it. That's obviously my opinion. The keyboard is still the keyboard. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I hate it. I have never once liked the iOS keyboard. I always thought it sucked. They added gesture typing to it, you know, the like swipe style typing, and it's accurate like 40% of the time for me, and most of the time it guesses the wrong word. There's little things like it automatically replacing words, and then when I go back to select the right word, it'll be there like on the left, like the word that I actually typed, but then it will just disappear after a couple seconds, and then I can't do it again. That's kind of weird. When you use other keyboards, it forces you to keep those like the keyboard switch icon and the emoji icon, I believe, on the bottom under the keyboard, and it just raises the keyboard like a solid maybe 3/4 of an inch, and it's just completely unnecessary. Like, why would you do that? Why don't you just integrate it into the keyboard itself? Why would you make a separate button? That's dumb. And they still have the thing where when you switch to a password, it switches to the other keyboard. So that's kind of crap. But the integration with password managers is really, really good. I use Bitwarden and 1Password for work, Bitwarden for my personal stuff, and being able to just click passwords and bring up Bitwarden and do the face unlock and go through all that nonsense is actually way better than the way it works on Android, where sometimes it just doesn't recognize it and have to open the app separately, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, and you know, but no, it's pretty cool. However, it just, I don't know, it's not perfect. It just feels like the whole experience with the keyboard feels like off, like something's missing, and I can't really put my finger on what it is. Maybe it's just accuracy, I don't know. Anyway, past the keyboard, past the launcher, past the widget board, past the app drawer, past all of those things, the fact that you can now set a custom, a default browser is really, really cool. A default mail app, I believe, as well. That's super cool. they've made a lot of good changes. They made a lot of changes in the right direction. I stand with Apple when it comes to the changes that they made regarding third-party tracking and telemetry and analytics data and whatnot. I think that, yeah, they should have to ask you for your permission to track your data. It is your data. And it's not cool that they track it, especially when they don't even put it in their terms of service that they're tracking that information. That's completely wrong. And I agree with Apple for doing that. That's cool. Siri has gotten a lot better over time. Apple Maps has gotten a lot better. Still not, oh, I got an ant. It's still not the best. It could be better. I had an incident in Jacksonville. Jacksonville, Florida is growing a lot. There's a lot of construction going on, and Apple Maps hasn't been able to keep up with it. And I had a situation where it led me off of the interstate and made me turn left into an open field that there was nothing in. 5 miles away from my actual destination. I don't know. However, Apple Maps does have one thing that Google Maps does not. Google Maps voice assistant is nice and clear. However, it's very robotic in the directions that it gives. It says, turn right in 300 feet, things like that. Like, maybe some people will understand that distance, or maybe but some people won't. And not everyone is good at measuring distance. And it's weird that it gives such specific directions all the time. Whereas Apple Maps tries to be a little bit more friendly, impersonal. It'll say, instead of turn right in 300 feet, it'll say, make a right turn at the next light. It'll say things like, turn left and stay in the left lane. It's more personal, it's more conversational, the way that it talks to you. And it actually, it gives the directions better. It doesn't give better directions, but it does a better job at delivering the directions to you. And honestly, I really, really enjoy it. If I could combine Google Maps directions with Siri's natural speaking voice, that would be awesome. However, that's just not the case. Google Assistant's still way better. Siri still basically sucks. She also I think Siri is too easy a word to say, because not on my phone as much, but on my Apple Watch at least, I bring up Siri all the time on accident. Oh, you know what? It's because I had to disable it on the phone because it kept coming up on accident too many times. It's way too sensitive. So I actually ended up disabling it. I'm going to end up disabling it on the watch as well. And that hopefully will be it. I will, by the way, be talking more about Apple stuff. I will be talking about the Apple Watch and the MacBook, the M1 MacBook, and how everything works together in future videos. This one is just more focusing on the phone and all of that nonsense. So I think that's everything that I wanted to say about this whole thing. And honestly, 6 out of 10 for the whole thing, for the whole package, I would say. If you're a hardcore, if you're a diehard Apple fan and you don't have a 12, get a 12. It's awesome. Like, if I am a diehard Apple fan, I'm saying screw all the other phones, get the 12 Pro. I don't care how much money you're saving. Or get the regular 12. You don't need the 12 Pro. Honestly, the steel bar that goes all the way around, the hugest smudge magnet in the world, and it's not worth it. The extra camera, not worth it. Honestly, the features that you get from the 12 Pro, over the 12 are not worth the extra money. Just go with the 12, you'll be fine. But yeah, that's everything that I have to say about the current iPhone situation. For an iPhone 13, I would like to see a better in-hand feel. If you can keep the battery life, that would be awesome. I honestly don't even need a faster chip, but a more streamlined OS with better animations would also be better as well. Some of these animations take way too long. I would like to see them sped up, or maybe just changed into a different, shorter animation. That would be really cool. Get rid of the freaking notch. I don't even like Face ID. I didn't even talk about Face ID. I'm not going to talk about Face ID. Face ID sucks. Get rid of it. Go back to Touch ID. That's what you got to do, Apple. You hear me? That's what you got to do. And yeah, that's everything. This has been more of a rant than anything else. I hope I said enough good stuff to offset all the bad stuff that I said, because honestly, I'm not unhappy with this device at all. I'm not unhappy with it. It has been working excellently. I have gripes, and I will be switching over to an Android phone when another one comes out, but I could keep using this, and I will keep using this for a while because I've still got the AirPods Pros Max and all this other nonsense. So I'm in the ecosystem. I'm going to stay in it for a while. I want to really experience the whole thing and deliver that experience to you guys. But that's it. That's all I have. I just did a running monologue this whole time, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found something useful in this nonsense that I've been spraying this entire time. Is it hair? Leave a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment if you have questions, if you want me to do a different video, anything. Leave a comment if you have something to say to me. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all, except for the people who don't watch the next one. I mean, please watch the next one. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.